From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for attending this very special occasion. We are going to be featuring our National Ambassador for Young People's Literature. But before we introduce Jon Scieszka, we're going to talk for just a minute or two about the program and the Library of Congress. We're so happy to have you here. We're now trying to work hard to promote children's reading, young people's reading, and we have the National Ambassador program going. It's a project of the Center for the Book, which I'm in charge of, which is the reading promotion arm of the Library of Congress, and the Children's Book Council. And together with lead sponsorship from Cheerios, and we have bookmarks from Cheerios for you to take away today with some reading tips from our National Ambassador. We also have support from publishers of books for young people. So this is a cooperative project to try to make reading more fun and to have a National Ambassador who personifies this as he travels around the country. We have special guests today from a school, I think it's called Brent Elementary School. Is anyone here from Brent? All right, how about a cheer for Brent? There we go. We're very happy to have you here. And with the help from the Library of Congress's Educational Outreach Project, we're going to have a wonderful morning. It's my pleasure now to introduce Librarian of Congress, Dr. James Billington. He is only the 13th person to be the Librarian of Congress. He has been a staunch supporter of the Center for the Book and this reading outreach for young people. We have special programs at the library that he's helped us with in many, many ways. Today's program is really a perfect example of his visionary approach to using the library's resources and sharing them with Americans everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. James Billington.
Thank you very much, John, and welcome to our first official visit from the first National Ambassador for Young People's Literature, Jon Scieszka. We also welcome the teachers and students from Brent Elementary School in Washington and our other guests here. It's great to have you all here. This is what it's all about. And before we begin the main part of our program, I want to announce that through the Center for the Book, which John Cole has headed so dynamically and faithfully for so many years, the library has just entered into a partnership with the Read It Loud campaign. The goal of this campaign is to inspire as many parents or caregivers as possible, maybe even 5 million, to read daily to children over the next 5 years. I have to say, I was just asked on television and interviewing with Laura Bush, who's the patron and originator of our book festival, be unfolding the next 2 days. What was somebody from the Weekly Reader, which maybe you all read, asked what had been the most important moment about reading in my life, and I said it was when my father read to me when I was a young person, usually when I would stay up a little later at night than I should. He said, okay, if you want to stay up later, I'm going to read to you. So reading aloud can make a difference for everybody. We're fortunate to have the founder of this exciting campaign, Wally Amos, here with us today. Wally has devoted his life to children's literacy. He's an avid, enthusiastic advocate for the importance of reading for people of all ages, reading aloud. Ladies and gentlemen, Wally Amos.
Thank you, Dr. Billington. But may I call you Jim? I don't want to be so formal, you know. So I've known him for a little while, and he's a very prestigious person. You don't want to always just throw around his first name, but I feel that I know him well enough to call him Jim. Well, thank you very much, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here, and it is a pleasure to be in partnership with the Library of Congress. Our goal is to get 5 million families reading to their child for at least 10 minutes a day. from birth through 6 years old. If that happens, there are wonderful things that will happen to that child. Child will grow up to develop language skills, improve his listening comprehension, builds her vocabulary. It creates a bond between the child and the reader. We have a lot of young people here. Are you guys readers? Yes, yes. How many parents read to you? How many of you have parents that read to you? Look at that, a wonderful showing of hands. They're wonderful readers because their parents read to them. Reading aloud to a child creates a wonderful child, creates a smart child, creates an intelligent child, creates a child with values, creates a child that will ultimately know the difference between right or wrong. But reading aloud also, it is fun. It is fun for everyone. It creates a bond between the child and the reader. It builds strong families. It makes you a better parent. So we're looking forward to spreading this campaign throughout the United States, and we're all going to have fun, and we're going to make sure that America is a nation that reads. God bless you all. You young people, keep reading. Read it loud. Read it loud. Let's everybody say, read it loud. Read it loud. Ta-da.
That's wonderful, and thank you, Wally, for all you do in this regard. We'll now turn the program over to Jon Scieszka, whom we welcome as our first National Ambassador for Young People's Literature. Jon is the author of such wickedly funny books as The Stinky Cheese Man, I don't know if you've hit that yet, and other, and of course, the rest of the list, and other stupid fairy tales. The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, if you want to know that true story, the Truck Town series, and hot off the presses, his new book, Knucklehead. Now, like Wally, he's a strong voice for the importance of reading to young people, especially boys. He's very keen on that. His Guys Read website and program were created especially to address this need. So, Jon, it is my privilege and honor to present you with the National Ambassador for Young People's Literature Medal to honor the work you are doing to promote literacy and reading among young people. Thank you for being here today. You're all witnesses to this special presentation to this very special person. We're all looking forward to asking you a lot of questions. This is the guy who can answer them, particularly when he gets this magic medal, which is recognition. I don't know, this is not stinky cheese, this is a real, real medal, and we thank you so much for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Brent.
These are good people.
Michael Phelps, come on. Wow. Do you like it, Jon? I like it. Is that good? Thank you, Dr. Billington. I'm going to wear this for the next year and a half.
How heavy is it?
Very heavy. Here, wait, I think I gotta get it just right. Oh man, look at that. I'm going to Beijing. Might be a little late though, huh? How's it look? Wow. Well, thanks to the Library of Congress, and thanks to the Children's Book Council who helped do this. And thanks to Brent Elementary for making all this possible. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this ambassador thing, but when you're ambassador, you pretty much get to do whatever you feel like. At least that's the rules I made up. Dr. Billington wasn't quite sure, and John Cole was going to tell me about the other presents that I asked for. Because I got the medal, but I also wanted a crown and some little flags for my car and a helicopter and a tank. Maybe a used tank. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. And a jetpack. You ever seen those? Yeah. Like you just have the controls right here and then you whoosh off. Good. You have one of those? Like a Library of Congress jetpack?
Working on it.
They're working on it. This is a big building. There's a lot of things going on here. Well, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the ambassador thing that's happening, and then I also brought a sneak peek at the new book. Nobody else has seen this before. It's not out until next month. So I figured you're the perfect ones to take a look at it. Are you going to read it aloud? I will actually read it aloud, just because Wally Amos is here. But that's a thing I love to do. I love reading aloud. It makes so much sense. And that's the fun thing. I mean, that's what I'm doing as ambassador. I'm going all around the country and telling people, quit messing around with kids. Let them read books they like. Don't you think that's a good idea? Yes. So, here's a book I think you might like, Knucklehead. And look, I'm driving the tank. So this is an autobiography, which means it's a story I wrote about my own life. So you guys can do the same thing. And I also illustrated it, which I think you're going to be pretty excited about. Because I usually don't illustrate my books, but take a look at this. Sweet, huh? I don't know if you can see those big, chunky black pants, but I don't think I have any feet either. They're just kind of like little stumps. But the other thing illustrating the book is I just took all these pictures that I have from my scrapbook because I grew up with 5 brothers. So here's the whole Scieszka family. Mom, Dad, Jim, the best-looking guy, John, Tom, Greg, Brian, Jeff. So all the stories are illustrated with this, and I tell stories about how I became a writer. And I think the first time I became a writer was when my mom always used to tell us, don't wrestle in the living room because you're going to break the couch. And Jim and I would go, nah, we won't break it, don't worry. But one time he jumped on me in the living room, so I put him in a headlock, and I flipped him over, hit the couch, and guess what happened? It broke. So I said, oh no, we are in trouble. We tried to put the legs back up underneath it so it would hang out, but I kept falling down. Finally said, oh, what are we gonna do? And my brother Jim said, don't worry, I'll tell Mom what happened. I said, really? Okay. So my mom came in to the living room, and guess what? She freaked out. She went, who broke my couch? This is a brand new couch. Were you guys wrestling in here? And Jim said, oh, John did it. And I said, no, I didn't do it. Tom did it. Tom said, I didn't do it. Greg did it. Greg said, I didn't do it. Brian did it. Brian said, I didn't do it. Jeff did it. And Jeff was the littlest one, so he couldn't blame anyone. He just said, the dog did it. So I think that's where I figured out I should be a writer. Because if you're a writer, you get to tell the story. So I got to tell all these stories in here. I got to tell the story about, I don't know if I can tell you that one. Oh, we used to babysit our brothers. This one's called Watch Your Brother, because that's what my mom always told us. She said, watch your brothers. And we didn't get paid for babysitting, we just had to watch them. So we would watch Greg roll off the couch. We'd watch Brian dig in the plants and eat the dirt. And we would watch Jeff lift up the toilet seat and play in the water. Well, one day when we were watching our brothers, Jeff got stuck under the couch and we pulled him out and we stood him up on the coffee table right next to it, and he saw a cigarette butt. So he grabbed it and started chewing it. And he made this really bad face, which Jim and I thought was really funny. So we gave him another one. And he chewed that one and made a really funny face. Then we figured out, hey, we could charge our friends a dime to come and watch. So we charged all our friends a dime to watch Jeff eat cigarette butts. And we watched our brother and made money. The end. Oh, he's okay mostly, I think. And here's another one I think you'll like. We also went, sometimes when we had to babysit our brothers, they kind of looked like wild Indians running around like this. So if they were ever too crazy, my brother Jim and I would say, all right, you're in trouble now. And we'd pick up the phone, dial it, and go boop, 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 boop. Bad boys home? Yes? come and pick them up. We have 2 more. And then we'd hang up the phone. And then usually you'd hear like a fire engine or something somewhere. You'd hear the siren go like, woo, woo. They're coming to get you. And then the 2 brothers would run off and go to bed. I'm going to read some of these to the president tonight, so maybe you guys could help me picking a good one. Should I read that one? That one's a little scary. Crossing swords. That's a little scary. Or I do have one about how I learned to read. Oh, here's a better. I think you'll like this one. This one's called Sorry, Mom. See this X-ray? You know that little bone on the front part of your collar, the collarbone? Did you know it only takes 7 pounds of pressure to break that? We didn't know that either. Not until my brother Greg started playing with us. Because my mom would always say, let Greg play with you. And we go, no, he's too little. Let Greg play with you. Nah, he's too gawky. But finally we had to let Greg play with us. And we played a lot of different games. We played baseball and basketball and football. But we also played some cool games we invented ourselves, like slaughter ball. And in slaughter ball, you throw the football up in the air, and whoever catches it gets slaughtered. That's a great game, don't you think? Well, one time Greg caught the ball, and we all jam-piled on him, and something more than 7 pounds must have landed on him, because we heard something crack. So we had to take him back to Mom and say, sorry, Mom, we broke him. Actually, this happened to Greg about 4 times, which is why we have a lot of pictures of him looking like this, like a pro football player, because he has the cast on, and he just looks like that. And that's the end. Well, and I was talking to some of these guys earlier, and the term knucklehead comes from my dad. That's what my dad always used to call us. He would just say, who's the knucklehead who put an army man in the toaster? That was my brother Jim. He wanted to make him bend a little bit and melt him. It's like, who's the knucklehead who left their bicycle behind the car in the middle of the driveway? That was Tom. Or he'd say, who's the knucklehead who took a bite out of the middle of the turkey and then smoothed it back over with stuffing? We don't know who did that, or I'm not telling. I know, we're not telling, Wally. But I thought maybe I'd give you guys a chance to ask some questions, because I know you're writers and readers. Oh, was biased and maybe wrote the story from the wolf's point of view. I think that came from growing up with 5 brothers. Like, because they always blamed me, so I thought maybe it wasn't the wolf's fault. He wasn't bad. Yeah. What inspired me to be an author? I think reading really funny books. Because when I grew up, I used to love Green Eggs and Ham. Anyone ever read that one? By Dr. Seuss? Or Go Dog Go? That's a crazy book. It's all these dogs that are different colors, drive around in cars, and then have a party up in a tree. I said, I want to do books like that. Yeah. Who was the oldest? Jim. But who was the smartest? Me. That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she wanted if I ever told my brothers that I wanted to be a writer. You know, I think I thought about that when I was a little kid, like in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, because I liked reading books. But it wasn't until I was in college that I really thought I would be a writer. I wanted to be a bunch of other stuff, like a fireman. I wanted to be a guy who could just sit at home and watch cartoons all day. I was hoping that would be a job, because that sounded fun. That didn't happen. Yeah, but eventually after school I told them. And now my brothers have all different kinds of jobs too. Yeah.
If I was your brother, if you put bologna on my butt, I'll tell your mom all day.
If he was my brother And I put bologna on your what? Oh, on your bike. He would tell Mom or Dad. You would have fit right in with our family. You'd be a perfect Scieszka brother, I think. Yeah.
Have your brothers ever got you in trouble before?
Have my brothers ever got me in trouble before? Yes. Because one time when we were all wrestling in the living room again, we did a lot of wrestling in our house. Like, my dad yelled down the stairs, "What's going on down there?" He came downstairs, everybody ran, and they left me standing there. So I said they all did it. So actually, I got them in trouble. Yeah.
What do you think was the greatest prank you ever pulled?
What was the greatest prank we ever pulled? Wow. There's so many. One actually very funny one is, I don't know where we even learned this, but we discovered if you cover the toilet in saran wrap, like no one notices, it looks clear. And then when the next person comes in to go to the bathroom, it goes all over the floor. Which is a pretty good prank. I think only a prank on my mom, actually, since she didn't know who went to the bathroom all over the floor. All right, we better ask another question, yeah. Yeah. What's my favorite book? Knucklehead. I also really still love Go Dog Go. Yeah. Oh, why do I like writing for kids? Because they're way smarter than most people. I used to write for adults, but have you ever noticed, like, a lot of times adults don't pay attention much? Like, their attention kind of wanders. And I love writing for kids because I was a teacher for 10 years. I taught first grade for a while, second grade, third. Fifth graders were a little strange. I taught them for 1 year. And then sixth, seventh, and eighth graders. But I always thought they were the best audience. Yeah.
What job do your brothers have?
Oh, what job do my brothers have? My older brother, Jim, is a lawyer. Tom is some kind of management guy. Greg sells chemicals, I think. Brian's a principal, an elementary school principal. And Jeff's an eye doctor. But who's the nicest? Good answer. I love this crowd. Wally, you got them going. Yeah. Who's my favorite author? You know, I think I don't have one favorite author because I like some authors like Mo Willems for younger books. Did you guys ever read Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus? Yeah. That's Mo Willems. I love his stuff. Mark Twain is good. I like guys who write funny stuff. So I really like Roald Dahl, who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah. And almost any of the funny guys. Yeah. How did I become famous? I should have done like Wally, just put it in my name. But it didn't work with Scieszka so good, like Scieszka, like people can't even say the name. I think it was all through the books. It was really kind of fun that people got to notice things like The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, and teachers read that to their classes everywhere. Or I think just people love to say the words like Stinky Cheese Man. That's a good way to get famous. Yeah. What advice would I give to a person who wants to be a famous author? Read a bunch of stuff. Like, read everything you can. That's what I did. I started just by reading. And then when I started writing, I would just copy my favorite writers. So for a while, I wrote all spooky stories when I was reading spooky stories. And then when I read adventure stories, everything was an adventure. I always had a dog running through the snow, like Jack London stories. Now I just write Jon Scieszka stories. Yeah. Do I have a role model? Wally. I just found him. Get another one, he says. No, you know, I think I have a couple. One was definitely my dad, because I just loved that my dad like did his job and then still had time to play around with us and read books with us, show us how to do stuff. Even though we were really knuckleheads. Like, we drove him crazy, but he still hung out with us. That's a great question. Yeah. How did I feel when I wrote my first book? I thought that was spectacular. And I still feel that way. That's actually one of the most fun parts about writing when you're done. Like the thing of actually doing it's really hard to do. But when you're finished, that's still a great feeling. Yeah. My favorite bedtime book. Wow. Oh, you know what? One of my favorites was Kidnapped. It's this story about a kid who gets stuck with a bunch of pirates. And it's good and kind of scary. Yeah. Have I ever met my favorite author? A couple of them. But I usually don't like to meet my authors. I don't know why. It's kind of weird, because sometimes they're creepy. Not always, because some of them are really nice. Right? Yeah.
Have you and your brothers ever got in trouble, but it was like most of your fault?
Have my brothers and I ever gotten in trouble where it was mostly my fault, but I got out? Yeah, how did you know, actually? Oh, yeah, he was listening too closely. Yeah, that happened a bunch of times. That's why I get to be the writer. Yeah. Oh, have I ever done a movie? We actually worked on The Stinky Cheese Man as a movie for a while. But I don't know, we're still kind of working on a couple things. Nothing lately. Though I'm thinking Knucklehead would be perfect. Brad Pitt playing me, maybe? Or Will Smith. I got lots of ideas. If you know any people. Math Curse would be a weird kind of movie, wouldn't it? That's a great idea. You guys are full of them. Yeah?
How many books have you written so far?
How many books have I written so far? I think about 432. They're short books, a lot of them. And I didn't publish all of them. Some of them are really bad. And they didn't work out, so I just threw them back in my closet. So like one book is called The Sock. That was about it. It was kind of just about a sock. So I never published that. But now I think I have almost 35 books published. John, how many? Do we have time for a couple more questions?
Yes, we do. Another 5 or 6 questions.
5 or so. Okay, I'll count. Yeah, in the back? Yeah. Have my brothers tried to gang up on me? Yes, they have. But you know why it doesn't work with me? Because I'm also the strongest. I love the line of questioning here. We seem to have gone. It's brilliant, exactly. Yeah.
Do you like go and see, like when you go other places like stores and grocery shopping, do people notice you?
Oh, that's a great question. She wondered if, like, when I go grocery shopping and stuff, do people notice me? Not so much. Like, they don't know I'm the guy who wrote the book. But I think now that I'll walk around with my medal, I might get some questions. Because I live in New York, in Brooklyn, and I go to, like, the same grocery store every day kind of thing. I think it'd be cool to walk in with this and say, like, I need my cup of coffee free because I'm the ambassador. Yeah. Do I ever get the munchies while I'm writing something? Yeah. Has that happened to you before? That's one of the hardest things when you're writing. Like, you sit down and you think of like 500 other things you'd like. It's like you want to go to the refrigerator, you want to get something to drink, you want to check the mail, sharpen my pencils. I do that all the time. Finally, I'm going to get a seat belt, I think, for my chair, though, just to keep me there. And then I can keep writing. Yeah. That's a great idea. If I wrote a book titled Crazy People, who would I have in there as characters? Well, certainly John Cole from the Library of Congress. See, I told you, he's crazy. That's the last question. We can't take any more. Thanks, guys. No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, now you know why we have a national ambassador who is so smart. He's friendly. He's got all of those traits that we all admire. But what is fun is that he turns out to be a successful writer and a very perceptive, smart guy. And as he's been traveling around the country, he's been on book trips. You know, he's a very prolific author. There's a big word for you. He writes a lot. He's not just bragging. He's telling you what happens.
But I am the nicest, John.
Well, the publishers are so happy with Jon that they're sending him around the country on book tours. And so he's doing a lot of signing. And we've been able to take advantage of that because, as I said when we started, the national ambassador, we've gotten some money together from publishers to help get him out and to meet people and go to Children's Book Week, which now is sponsored by the Children's Book Council, and it's been moved to May. And he's here now for the National Book Festival. And he will be actually, as he said, he'll be performing for the First Lady and the President. He also, tomorrow on the Mall, in the Teens Pavilion, will be speaking for 30 minutes. He also will be part of a couple of other programs. So it's turned out that when we got Jon as our ambassador, and Robin Adelson, who is out there somewhere, and I just looking at each other saying, wow, did we ever do a good job with our jury who helped us pick Jon, because we're getting our money's worth. And do you feel that way, Jon?
I feel that way.
Do you feel oppressed in any way? Do you think we're taking advantage of you too much?
No, I think it's all going to feel better when the helicopter comes down with my name on the side. And Wally can ride too.
Well, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, he's going to go get a helicopter. No, he's got the keys to the helicopter. It better not say Air Force One on it, because that's somebody else's, I think.
Wait a minute, I guess I have the wrong thing. This looks like a clip-on book light. Now, why
That's a lot like a helicopter, yeah.
Why would the ambassador get a clip-on book light? Well, let's see whether I guess it's all making him a better reader and writer.
Probably.
Oh, wait a minute.
Come on, I have one of these already, John.
Well, all right, if that's the case, I'll bring you a helicopter.
Oh!
Now, part of the deal was that this is a 2-year bargain. And
This is a 2-year bargain?
We thought we'd start with a small helicopter, and then we'll see if we can find a bigger one if you continue to do such a great job. So to go with your medal, here's a representative helicopter for the ambassador.
How about the $1 million I asked for, too?
Talk to me next year, okay? Okay. So let's have a round of applause for our national ambassador, Jon Scieszka.
Thanks, guys.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.